Okay. Um, Welcome to Seville. I think you were very lucky because it was raining so much a week ago. So you've come, I think, in the best time of the city. I'm sure I'm not the first one who's told you. This is when the spring's spurring, and this is a very special time for the city. So I am Beatriz Macías Gómez Stern. I'm an associate professor in Universidad Palo de la Vide. There are two public universities in Seville. So Universidad Palo de la Vide is the one, which is not this one. It's a young university. We are 25 years old as a university. So we are like the more flexible, less bureaucratic, more agile university. I'm here to present an Erasmus project I'm working on as a researcher. And I'm very glad to be here because when I entered the class, I didn't really know what this was about, what this meeting was about when I was called to come. I don't know if it was like a scientific conference or, I don't know, a professionals conference. So when I came into the class and I saw it full of students, of Erasmus students, of international students, I was happier because that's in my genes. I don't know, you must be tired of all people telling you their stories, but I have to do it. I was an Erasmus, one of the first Erasmus. I think Erasmus was created more or less 2, 3, 4 years after I went to Italy. I keep my friends from that time. If there is anyone here from Italy, I went to Pisa, and I'm still in contact with those friends, and that's 30 years ago. So, and I still speak Italian, and I still watch movies in Italian, and I still read in Italian. And it was just 3 months that I was there. So that's the impact it's got. And then I've kept doing mobility programs as a PhD student, as a scholar. I've been to England, to Denmark, to England several times, other times to Pisa. I've been to Latin America, I've been to the States. So basically my academic life, the human side of my academic life is linked to mobility. So I think it's something that we all tell you, but I think it's very entrenched in us. And I also wanted to tell you, to let you know, this is a living example of what Erasmus is and what mobility is and what this international experience, how it impacts our lives. And then if I told you my personal life, that would be another long story, but it's also entrenched by this international experience, okay? So let's go to the, to the program, to the project. The project I'm presenting is called Inclusive Higher Education Systems for students with intellectual disabilities. I forgot to tell you that I'm also now in the position of Vice Dean for internationalization in my faculty, in the Faculty of Social Sciences in Seville, in Palo de la Vide. So I'm the one who does all the learning agreements for the students in social sciences. I'm the one who helps the students with their mobilities. And this is a project that we are working on, and which is led by researchers in the Faculty of Social Sciences. In Palo de la Vide, we are social workers, sociologists. I am a cultural psychologist. So I think with internationalization, we also get very familiar with interdisciplinarity, which is something that maybe not all national universities or people who move from, who stay in their national policies really understand. But when you move from place to place, you understand that disciplines are not so closed. I'm a psychologist, and I've always been working in the field of social intervention, hand by hand with social workers, teachers, educators, sociologists, anthropologists, okay? So this project, as I said, is based in the Faculty of Social Sciences. It's in the action in Erasmus called Key Action 2. So it's not Key Action 1, where individual mobilities are placed, but Key Action 2, which is more about putting together people from different entities, from different local, different social agents, for the sake of pursuing one goal related usually to social innovation and to think about social transformation topics. Obviously, they have to submit or to have some, to pursue some goals. But I think one of the main achievements is also having people not only from different countries, but also from different contexts working together for the same goal. So in this case, we are a network of 7, well, and I said, I was trying to dialogue with the opening yesterday. I said, in this project, I see democracy enacted, I see equity, and I see identity building, because it's working together, people coming from different backgrounds, working together for the same goal is something very enriching. It's something that I think that's the way of doing democracy. That's a day-to-day way of doing democracy. Maybe these are very big words, but the way of doing that is when you are in a hands-on project doing things together. And these K2 projects, I think, they get that to achieve that. So these are the institutions. These are the 7 partners. That's how it is called in this project. Universidad Palo de la Vida is the leading one. There is 1, 2, 3 other universities: Universidad de Siena, Universidad de Firenze, and ESTE in Portugal. These 2 in Italy. This is NGO in Ireland. Paz y Bien is an NGO in Spain, and Pixel is a European Union specialist. They manage European Union's projects. So all these people, we are working together to get this inclusive higher education program for people with intellectual disabilities. The context, why did we submit this project, why we proposed this project? The context is that university usually don't offer facilities or don't offer the same opportunities, access opportunities to all students with functional diversity. Especially, this is concentrated on people with intellectual disabilities. This is a very broad range of situations, but the university is not welcoming to people with intellectual disabilities, and they tend to be excluded from higher education. So this project, the aims, the purposes are to develop and implement, or the final goals, the final products that we have to submit, deliver is to develop and implement an online program on inclusion for independent living for people with intellectual disabilities in universities, to design a pilot methodology to support inclusion of students with intellectual disabilities in the higher education systems, to develop a set of recommendations to university policy and decision makers at higher education level on how to promote inclusion of people with intellectual disabilities. So these are the aims of the project. These are also the deliveries that we have to produce. The target groups are university students with and without intellectual disabilities, university students and lecturers in social sciences, economic, education, sports, humanities, and law, and university policymakers and rectors. I don't know if the rector is the word, but yeah, rectors. And the results are for each of the goals I showed you before. So we have an online training program. We have produced already an online training program. We have already produced a digital handbook, and we are about to finish the recommendation book. The project started 2 years ago, and we are finishing it, I think, this summer. The online training program, you can search for it in the web. Has been also made cognitively accessible for easy reading, and this is when the entities, the NGOs working with intellectual disabilities, have collaborated mainly. It has 4 learning paths: 1 for students with disabilities, 1 for students without disabilities, 1 for teachers, and teachers and researchers, and 1 for administration. And it has 4 modules covering the 4 activities that happens usually in higher education, which is teaching, research, campus life, and management. Yeah. Each of them with 4 chapters. So there you have a snapshot of the online training program. I think if you go into the webpage, I think you could open it. I don't know if you can take it. I don't know if it's already open, but that's the course. The digital handbook is already out also. It has strategies, case studies, examples, guidelines, self-achievement checklists to help universities or people in the universities, different agents, improve the inclusion of students with intellectual disabilities at the university. This all has been informed through a process of participatory research. So all the information here comes from the network, making people in the network, researchers in the network, making focus groups with different agents, grabbing information through research methodologies, okay? So all this comes from the different universities doing collecting data, qualitative data, through participatory methodologies. The recommendations, the book of recommendations is going to be also online. That's going to be for stakeholders and policymakers. And that's going to be, we are finishing that. So that's going to be the last intellectual product. That's how we call it. And this is who we are. These are some of the meetings we had. For example, here, it was me making with the same clothes, making it was a year ago, more or less, making a focus group, with no, it was more than a year ago, because look at them, they are wearing their masks. That was, I think, autumn 2022 or 2021, and that was a focus group with the students. So that's how we were collecting or grabbing their impressions on how to improve their ideas, how to improve the inclusiveness of people with intellectual disabilities. And we did that in all 3 universities, and we did that with teachers, with university teachers, with the students with disabilities, also with administration. So it was like a gather information to build these products. This is Rosa Diaz. She's the leader of the projects from Universidad Palo de la Vida. He's Pablo from Portugal. This is one of the meetings. I think it was in Ireland. These were meetings in Portugal. So you see that we work. And this also was a meeting in Portugal. I think I only have 5 minutes left. There you have the web page for the project, and any question you will have, any comment. And this is, yeah, me for any question. Anyway, yeah. Yeah. Do you know anything about them? Yeah. Yeah, well, I've heard, I think they are, I don't know what's the legal, I mean, legal, I mean, they are not an NGO, but they are an entity which is specialized. It's like an agency, and they are specialized in European projects. And I've been involved in 2 projects with them. Another project that got an award on best practices called Voices of Immigrant Women, that was also led by my university. I think, and I've also been involved in projects like the one I'm going to present later, where we don't have any partner who is an entity of this kind. I think the good thing of the entities of this kind is that they are experts on management of European projects. So they help a lot with, with all the bureaucratic procedure, with all the timing, with all the language of the European Union. I have to say that I've been in many of these projects, and I'm familiar with the language, but me as a university teacher, I have other tasks to do. So we don't really have the time to be in these management tasks. So it's very handy that they do that, and that they also have the perspective of which are the topics that they basically study. They are experts on European Union's programs. So they study which are the leading topics. They know, they get to have a sensibility. So they are one of the partners, but the main role is organizing the work, organizing the team, making sure that the timing is happening, which is something more executive, but it's necessary. Yeah.
Just a question about, like, as you were saying, intellectual disabilities is a wide, like, group. Like, was it difficult to actually come up with, actually also now that you're working on recommendation, to actually giving recommendation to a group that's so wide and they include so many kind, like so many necessities, so many needs?
Yeah, I think, and this is from my perspective as a researcher, this is my first time working with intellectual disabilities, but I've worked, my whole research line has been around identity and diversity, migration, and there is something that I could generalize to this field, which is the more flexible our methodologies, the more dialogic are the teaching methodologies, the more inclusive for anyone they are. So even though there are many ways, so basically the major findings were that there is no need of one specific arrangement for each kind of situation, although it is important to have teachers, administrators trained on sensibility, on diversity. Okay, so they have to know, to be aware that there is diversity. But, for example, teaching methodologies that are dialogical and participative are going to be good for everyone and are going to be good for all kinds of diverse people, because we all are diverse. If you do specific programs for this specific condition, that's also a tricky second, ¿cómo se llamaba? My English, yeah, other effects, which is segregating, signaling, and in some way having the point on the difference. So in general terms, the main recommendations are about having the people trained on being aware and able to see difference, and being aware and sensitive with different conditions, having all the agents more trained on that. And on the other side, having every time more accessible dialogic teaching methodologies, well, having always in mind that there is a different kinds of students. I don't know if I've answered your question. Yeah? Hmm.
Some of the, a subset of the intellectual disabilities are, hard to recognize or hard to diagnose.
Yeah.
And some people, make it to higher education without even being aware of this or being diagnosed. So does your methodology help people, students or teachers, to recognize or see the patterns in people, to see abnormal behavior, so that they can help them find these disabilities in themselves?
I think this is my guess, okay? Because this question is the first time I thought about that. Because, diagnose is more a clinical psychologist's task. And that's something that has to be done in a very individualized way. So I don't think the program will help diagnose people. But as long as there is more information about different conditions, and I think nowadays there is a growing sensibility for that from the time, for example, when I was a student. As long as there is more information, I think there are more tools for people to identify with conditions and then searching for a diagnosis, or the teachers to be able to adapt to different ways of learning and different ways of expressing. So the program itself won't help diagnosis because that's something very, very clinical, also very delicate, I think. I'm a psychologist, and I am very, I take very carefully all labels, any label, because they can be well-intentioned, but they can have always um, other effects that could not be so good. So yeah.
I have another question if I can. Like from my personal experience, a lot of time, especially when it comes to higher education, professors and teachers, they are not really like they don't give so much attention to disabilities or to be inclusive, which was like what happened in those universities which were participating in the focus group. It was like a group of biased people who was already involved in this kind of topic that participates into the focus group, or you, for example, you saw that actually creating this kind of program actually raise awareness and also
Yes.
like the willing to be involved in this kind of activities.
It's a very new, I think it's a very new topic, especially when it comes to higher education. So there were some teachers, I mean, first of all, to get people to offer us their time for the focus groups, we had to convince them. So many of them were already knew about the topic, were people who did research on that, or people who were affected by that personally, but some of them didn't, and it helped raising awareness. I think that's one of the other after effects of this kind of projects, that there is also a raising awareness about some certain topics in the people who participate in at different levels of participation. Yeah, I know. So thank you. Okay, let me take a picture of me and you for my faculty. Thank you very much. Norma, al final no te he pedido la foto.